Hello and welcome back to For the Love of Self podcast. I'm your host, Heather Murphy. In today's episode, we dive deep into the world of decluttering and organizing with a professional organizer, Kaleigh Tuso. Kaleigh shares her journey from teaching to becoming a decluttering expert and explains why decluttering is so much more than just getting rid of stuff. We go over how decluttering reduces mental overload and provides a sense of positive control in your life, the emotional aspects of decluttering, and how to approach it with compassion. Understanding the difference between decluttering, organizing, and tidying, tips for helping children to learn healthy organizing habits, the concepts of body doubling and how it can help maintain focus while organizing. Don't we all need that? The energetic and spiritual benefits of maintaining an organized space. So, whether you're feeling overwhelmed by clutter or simply looking to create more space in your home, this episode offers practical insights and gentle approaches to transforming your space and, by extension, your life in general. So, enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Kaleigh Tuso on, and she is our decluttering expert. I'm really stoked to have you because I was just sharing with you that recently I watched the Martha Stewart documentary, and now I've just been like really into my home and making it homey, and a big part of that has been decluttering. So tell us first who you are. I mean, we introduced you already, but how did you get into this world of decluttering? Were you like one of those little kids that was like sorting things out, or did it come to you later in life?
You know what? Actually, I was one of those kids. Even my mom told me back in the day, my parents ran a surf shop, and I would organize all of the little items behind the counter based on size, based on color. She didn't ask me to do that. That was just inherent. Um, so apparently it's been there the whole time.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Were you by chance a Montessori kid or something?
I wasn't, not at all, but I guess it was a natural thing. But yeah, I used to be a teacher, and now I've transitioned. I wanted a little more flexibility, but I wanted the option to teach people, to teach positive habits and skill building, just in a different setting. So this kind of organizing business evolved because I was ready to take a break from teaching and just see what was next. And I went, okay, I don't have a lot of money to start up a business. What am I already good at that people may like? And so I thought, let me give it a try. I've always been organizing for family and friends. Um, and so it was kind of a natural thing to do next. And it has just become my entire income. Like this is a full-time business now, and I'm uh could not be more excited that this is what I get to do every day. So
I love that. Oh my gosh, I
yeah.
love that so much. I mean, here at For the Love of Self is like for me really about building a community of not just moms, but humans that are aligned in what they're doing, like how they're spending their time in their lives. And a
Mhm.
huge part of that, like for me, has been like flexibility of time and but also just like doing things that are doing work in the world that like is of service to people and
Mhm.
is lighting you up at the same time. It's a win-win. So and
Absolutely.
I was gonna say too, like on your social media, I can like it's so genuine, I love like it's also like those cleaning videos that are just like so satisfying. It's like that dopamine hit you get without actually having to do the work. But with
Yeah.
that, like why should we be decluttering? I think that what I'm wanting to lean towards is like mentally and emotionally, like why should we be decluttering?
Yeah. I think there's a lot that can be said for why we do it. I think providing the mental overload kind of decrease. We have so much, stuff we're thinking about, stuff we're doing, stuff that we feel like is on our to-do list. And if you look up and everything around you is also on your to-do list, you're going to be so overwhelmed. And so decreasing mental load overload is what I call that. Um, and also, it just makes you feel better. It makes you feel better when you look around, when you don't have things piled up, when you don't have things that you don't know what they are. You just look around and you can take a deep breath. And that's kind of my favorite piece. Um, I wrote a little note here. I'm gonna look for it because it was actually pretty good. It
Yeah,
says,
please.
let's see. Um, oh, I know what it was. Okay, so I wrote that it gives you a sense of positive control in your life. And we think of control sometimes as a negative, but having a decluttered space allows you to control what stays, what leaves your environment. It allows you to branch off and do things that are creative. It allows you the space to just flow a little more organically through your day and not have to think about, okay, I have 15 minutes, but I have to spend 5 minutes searching for that item I need to do the next thing. So it allows better time maintenance. And overall, it just, I don't know, it feels good to have a space that you love looking at, you know,
Yeah.
among
Yeah.
other things too.
Right. And I think about like the research on in this area too. Like we just know from the research that having, especially for those that might be like more neurodivergent, it's really difficult to have your space set up in a way that isn't serving you. And
Mhm,
that can look different for everybody, right? So it's not about this like picture perfect magazine like
mhm,
cover. It's just like it's more about the functionality for your lifestyle and what would help you like one just like you said save time but have that mental
mhm,
clarity of just saying like oh these things live here so you can just boom 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 like live your life and
mhm.
feel more peace. That's been my big personally my big goal for like my home is just I just want it to feel
Yeah.
peaceful. um
It That's an amazing goal. That's beautiful. That is the end goal. You go in and you declutter, whatever that means to you, and then your goal in the end is peace. What I've noticed is most people haven't picked up their items in a long time, and so that kind of energy refresh, when you pick up items, you look through it, you have an opportunity to remember, to re go through a memory maybe, and then you can allow yourself to mentally move on, emotionally move on, and then physically move it out of your space, and just kind of have a full refresh of, you know, that energy that's been stagnant for so long. And that does start to bring peace, which is really cool.
yeah, absolutely. I'm curious how you help clients move through some of the more difficult emotions of decluttering because I think that's why people can be accidentally avoidant of it. I think that
Yep.
like even if you want a peaceful home, you're just like, oh yeah, yeah. Like I feel like every I don't want to say every American, but I feel like it's a very American thing to have like that room that you just like throw stuff in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I have one that I'm needing to move towards, but it's like this thing where I'm like, yeah, I'll do that on Sunday, and then Sunday, it's just like I keep putting it off,
Mhm.
and I feel like everybody has different situations, but what's coming to mind is like, for example, we had inherited a bunch of my mother-in-law stuff after she passed, and like
Mm.
we kind of had to like sit with it for a couple of years, and um it felt really chaotic at the time to have it, but it was also too difficult to face it. So that's like
Mhm.
obviously a really relevant situation. But what about like the more conspicuous things where it's just like, oh, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to find something, but just something that like for some reason, sometimes there's things like, I was thinking like even receipts.
Yeah. Mhm.
I used to kind of be a receipt hoarder, and I don't want to say hoarder in like a derogatory way because I understand that that's like a real condition for some people. But
Mhm.
yeah, just things like that. Like for you, you might be like, how is this useful? But they're like really you kind of like, how do you go into the
Mhm.
space and combat all these like mental and emotional things? Yeah, sorry, that was a really long-winded question, but
No, it's
yeah.
all good. I think all of that information is relevant. Every single person is different, how they process. So it's really about me coming in and having a sense of who they are, which is why I like to do a consultation, have a chance to chat. Because this job is so personal, every item has a story and has something behind it. So I usually start for people in less emotional spaces. So if they have kitchen organization they want to do, I can get a sense of how they function and how they let go of items. And then once we've established a little bit of a connection, had some chat time, then we can go into maybe more personal paperwork or clothing or, children's items that their children are grown and they need to, start purging some stuff for space. Um, it's it's really just about connecting with a person. For me, it's just conversation. Um, Asking prodding questions that don't feel invasive, but also allow somebody to go to the next step. So, okay, do you want to keep this paper? Okay, so what does this mean to you? Or um, how can we organize this in a way that is not going to be overwhelming for you? Just questions like that give a little space. And some people don't have the answers. They just say, like, I don't know, tell me what to do. I don't know how to start, and if someone's already at that level of overwhelm when I come in, then I'm just giving them an opportunity to just lower that overwhelm a little bit. I share the responsibility, I share the accountability while we do the project. I say, like, whatever we get done today, we get done. Whatever we get through is great. You get rid of one thing, I will champion you. If you get rid of 20 things, I will be just as excited. So it's just making somebody feel like they're not alone and that nothing is um, wrong with wanting to keep things because it's not. And so I think a judgment free space is um, that's my main thing is just we're just people. We just have stuff. And some people have more stuff than others. Some people have more emotionally weighted stuff than others. But it's all doable. I mean, sometimes you just need support. If you want to exercise, you go get a personal trainer. If you want to figure out something with your health, you go to a doctor. You need support getting things decluttered, you call me and I can hang out and help you get through that process enough to where you feel like you can do it yourself. Or I can stay and do the whole process with you. It's just, every single situation is unique. So it's just judgment-free zone, asking questions organically. And that's kind of my process.
I love that. Yeah, I think non-judgment is such a crucial part of so many dynamics.
Yeah.
Um, I'm wondering too, like, what's coming to mind is living or cohabitating with people who have conflicting
Mhm.
opinions about the decluttering process. I apologize. That's my poop. Yeah, how do you how do you deal with that? Because I feel like that's somewhat like, however people are cohabitating, whether it's a married couple or even roommates, right? It's like everybody has a different idea of how they want their space to be and what's important to keep.
Yeah. Everybody has their own perspective. I encounter this a lot. It's either someone in a couple or a parent and a teen or, just roommates. It doesn't matter. There's always different perspectives on how they want their space to be and what they deem worthy of releasing. Some people
Mhm.
see stuff and they go, well, it's not a problem. It's just stuff. I don't need to get rid of it. And the other partner is saying, hey, like this is overwhelming me and I don't want to look at it or maintain it. Let's move forward. And so, I mean, in some situations, I can work with both partners or both people and we can get rid of more stuff. Sometimes a third party who's not emotionally attached to them helps. In
Mhm.
some circumstances, I can help the person who's called me for my services, and their partner or their roommate just won't, want to do anything with their own belongings, and that's also okay. Because I can't change anyone's mind. I can just offer support if they want it. Um,
Right.
but this happens quite frequently where people say, "So and so has never gotten rid of anything. They're not going to get rid of anything, even if you come in." And I say, "Okay, that's fine." But then I go in and we chat, and then they end up getting rid of a ton of stuff. And so that's my
Mhm.
favorite. I love when people say that they're not going to, and then they're like, I just don't need this. This isn't doing anything
Mhm.
for me. And I'm like, yay, I love that. So
Yeah.
it's just,
I think it makes sense that like being a third party, it's like less of a threat when it's coming from. I mean, I'm currently in a class that's all about it's couples dynamics. So I was just
Yeah.
thinking about how like that, these dynamics that happen can make it more challenging because of how it's coming. If you're saying like one person is like, I tend to be the person that's just like, why do we have all this crap? And da, 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 and like I just
Mhm.
tend to like overly want to throw things away. Um, and so, yeah, it's interesting, like thinking about the idea of bringing in a neutral party to it makes it less threatening, I think. Whereas, like
It does.
in the dynamic, it can be, yeah, like it's like inner child stuff can be playing out, all this different like psychological
Mhm.
stuff. So it makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. There's a lot of people who have, maybe traumas or childhood stuff around organizing and decluttering. Maybe someone has broken their trust in the past, gotten rid of things that they didn't want to have gotten rid of. Um, that's actually pretty common. But
Mhm.
knowing that sometimes you have to be really gentle. Some people hold on to their stuff with everything they've got, and I don't care how much people get rid of. If you're calling me, I'll support you in whatever way makes sense. If that means we just need to organize everything you have, even if it's more than what fits in your space, I'll tell you that directly. But
Mhm.
there's no pressure. So we'll do what we can do within within someone's ability. Um, some people cry.
Yeah.
Some people, I hear stories. Every single item has a story. And yeah, that's all I hear all day is people's personal stories for their items, whether I've asked or not. It's just organic. It's like you pick up something and the story just comes out. And it's really beautiful to witness that. It seems like it's full of catharsis for people. Like I love
Mhm.
seeing that. Someone just goes like, ah, like, I don't
Yeah.
need that. I've run through the memory and let's get rid of that. Like I don't need to think about that anymore. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
great. That's awesome. Just
Yeah.
gentle support.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that idea. It makes me
Yeah.
think of like narrative therapy and
Mhm.
how just, stories are such a intrinsic part of being a human being. And well, I think when we do get to share those stories and hear ourselves say those stories out loud, it can actually create a reframe that we didn't even intend to happen that makes us realize maybe with decluttering the example that it's just maybe this isn't serving like the current version of who we are, right? Like when we think of stories from like our childhood or something, we have a certain spin on it
Mhm.
because we were an 8-year old or something, so we're like, oh, that was me, but it really was like, yeah, um an adult
Yeah.
being an adult, or whatever it was. But yeah, it can be such a reframe to share those stories and like allow you to be like, okay, like it almost just energetically dissolves. I think about energy with items, and like I've been kind of delving into feng shui a little bit just for my
Mhm.
own home. Um, but thinking about just, without the expertise of like feng shui per se, but like energetics, and how I've definitely noticed this is huge for me, like in my manifestation practice of like clearing the energy in my home. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like every time I do declutter or like really deep clean something, it does like I swear it brings something through that I've been calling in or something. Like it's like some sort
Mhm.
of magic. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I think that it, so I think every item holds energy, just like you said. And it does spur that creativity when energy is renewed. So when people can get through a grief pile or they can get through, you know, childhood belongings or they can get through something, um, it does refresh the energy in the room. I always say to people, it doesn't matter how small it is. I say, I'd like you to hold every item. Let's say we take everything off a bookshelf. I just say, just every single thing you physically take off, right? They hold each piece. And it's almost like in my perspective, there's an energy. It's like, oh, this item hasn't been touched in 5 years. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's alive again. It has this like, are we keeping it? Is it going? It doesn't really matter in that moment. They've revived an energy in the room. We've wiped off the shelves. We've given it a sense of like, kind of those movies where it's like black and white and then it turns to color. That's kind of how I imagine an energy revival. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, and so once they can kind of purge that energy, then they have space to reawaken their creativity. They have space to reawaken memories, to release memories, and then their space, is ready for whatever's next. I mean, people forget about their hobbies, they forget about the things that bring them joy when they can't see beyond this stuck energy. It can feel suffocating in a room if you haven't moved things. That is why most people feel drawn to reset their space, to move furniture, to, I don't know, buy new items because you need an energy refresh. And if you don't do anything, then it's stuck. It's almost like the room metaphorically is filled with smoke and
Mhm.
you have to clear it and do something with the stuff inside because that's how you move forward emotionally and then physically and spiritually and creatively. Um, I believe in that wholly. Like that is my thing for my own life too. I reorganize. This is my office. You can't see the rest of it, but I have redone this room like I don't know, 20 times, moved things around, shifted stuff just because it feels good. And right now, I actually love where it's at. It's finally feeling like the energy is flowing in the way I want it to flow. And everybody deserves spaces like that. Sometimes it just takes an extra person to help you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really does. I think sometimes it can be overwhelming, even if this is sort of your thing or whatever, but it's just so nice to like bring in a second opinion on like, oh, should we try the dresser over here and like try it over here or whatever. And I do feel like there is something to refreshing the space by moving furniture around, and especially according to the seasons of life that you're in, like that's ever
Yeah.
changing. So there's also that. But yeah, I think about like as a mom, just like when my daughter was 2, like the house was very different and it like did not feel good because I was just like, there's a gate here and then there's like a
Mhm.
bunch of stupid toys over here. It was like that. But like I know you've done a lot of organizing with kids' toys and stuff. And is there anything that you can speak to in regards to dealing with kids' toys and how to like not traumatize our
Oh
children?
my
Because I'm like
gosh.
I still like sneakily throw things away that I'm just like dollar store
Yeah.
stupid like little crappy toys. So
Yeah. I think having been a teacher prior to this, I had a lot of time spent with kids. I worked in childcare even before I was a teacher, so just the last 15 years I've worked with kids
mm,
consistently. And something that is always intentional with children is that whatever's in front of them typically is the most important thing. Um, so as far as items go, it's usually making sure you know what their most favorite, most treasured items are, and then giving them, autonomy to decide if those things stay or go. The rest of it, all the minutia, most people have, 5 to 6 times the amount of toys that the kids actually play with. So I would say it is up to the parents' discretion. If a child is, under 10, I would say most of the things you can make decisions on aside from their favorites. If they're older than that, give them autonomy. Say, "Hey, this you're part of this decision making. Let's maybe even I should probably lower the age, maybe 7 or 8. Make them part of that decision making process. Say like, if we get these things to someone else who needs them, this will allow space for you to do your art or do your building project or whatever they do. Um,
mhm.
but I think you have to, sometimes the parents have to just declutter as they need to, as they see fit. And so if it's overwhelming you, if it's taking away from your time bonding with your child or your time being able to relax when your kid has their toys, then declutter a little bit. It's okay. Um, Another important thing would be to give them their own space. So whether that's a bedroom or, a toy chest or something else, give them something that's designated for them. That way you can say, okay, everything that you have going on is going to be right here. If you want
Mhm.
something else, like we'll have to talk about it, and this is where it's going to live. So
Yeah.
giving autonomy, accessibility, and just open communication. It doesn't matter how young the kids are, just let them know, hey, we're not gonna we're not gonna keep this stuff, but we are keeping this stuff because I know you love it. And just, yeah, being open about it. Um, you don't have to tell them every single thing you declutter though, if they're very young. They're not gonna remember. Um, they just don't. I
They
don't know.
just
I hope
don't.
that was help. Yeah.
No, it was. I feel like in my experience, my daughter goes through these like cleaning spells, and like recently she just went through her closet all by herself, and her friend who's
Yeah.
a little bit smaller than her came over, and we had a little store that we created, and her friend took like half the clothes, and then we gave a bag of clothes to another friend, and um that worked out pretty well because she was excited about it and I wasn't like
Mhm.
forcing her to go through her stuff. Um, it's been challenging. I think that when there are moments, and this is just obviously my own experience, but like there are moments where like my daughter has no interest in getting rid of any of her toys, even like the tiniest little, like, what is this macaroni and paper thing you made that
Right.
like all
Mhm.
that stuff. But yeah, just trying to like find that balance of, when she's into it, like I get on that train with her and I'm like, I am here to support. And then, yes, I have to
Mhm.
go in there sometimes, like, especially because with her, I'm lucky because we celebrate Christmas and then her birthday is in July. So I have like 6 months. And like right
Nice.
before each of those, I'm like, I kind of go through because I'm like, I know you're about to get more stuff. So like, let's
Yep.
go and kind of like reduce the amount of stuff. But that's been my process and that's worked well for us for now. But I think
I
there is
love that.
something to be said about like trying to also give that autonomy and that like skill, right? Of making it a normal part of like a semi-annual routine of like maybe we should go through some of our stuff.
I love that. I think that it's nice that you're getting her excited to give items to other people or just to know that process is happening. I think most of us aren't taught how to clean or how to organize. And so teaching
Hmm.
those skills of just like, hey, sometimes we need to go through our stuff. Sometimes we've accumulated more than we have room for. And if your child is used to that, they'll get on board really quickly. They might not say like they're ready to get rid of all this stuff, but give them an opportunity to get rid of one or two things and
Yeah.
champion that. Tell them, like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, great. You got rid of two things. Next time we do this, maybe there'll be three things that you'll be able to pass along to someone else. Um,
Yeah.
just making it normal and not like how you said, not like they have to get rid of stuff. 'Cause it's not really what it's about. So
Yeah, right.
options and making it just, I mean, no one likes to be forced to do anything. Um,
Mhm.
you can make it even a game. That's what I say to people who have young kids. Like, make it a game. How much can we get rid of that we don't play with? And then once your birthday comes around, we're going to get a couple really special things that you've been really wanting. Just there's a trade
Yeah.
off. It can be fun. You can even say that for
Yeah.
yourself as an adult. Okay, I'm going to get
Yeah.
rid of these five things so I can buy myself that new thing. I do that.
Yes. I love that for clothes because clothes get worn out so fast, I feel like. But yeah.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I love that. So I'm just having a brain fart. I was just going to ask you about like how people can get started with when they're feeling overwhelmed. I mean, and also just like first I want to ask you a quick question. So are you just doing in person or do you have some sort of like online course or what is your like process of working with people other than in person? If you have one.
Yeah. I offer virtual sessions.
Oh,
So my title, I self-proclaimed professional organizer, declutter consultant, productivity double, and credentialed educator. So those are my four titles that I do. It changes per, um, you know, per session and per the individual I'm working with. But
Mhm.
when there's virtual sessions, it's more about body doubling and room design. So there's
Mhm.
only so much I can do virtually, but I can make recommendations. I can provide like an email. If they send me a picture of the room, I can give them an idea of how everything should be laid out if they would like that. And then I sit on Zoom with them for 1 to 2 hours and kind of help them as they are productive, cleaning up the room or reorganizing their kitchen or whatever it is. Um, and in person is just I'm hands on. We're decluttering, we're organizing, we're sorting, we are getting everything where it should go, where they want it to go. Um, and then not to long answer, but I'm in the process of working on worksheets for people to purchase from my website. Uh,
Mhm.
just worksheets that involve how to get started on organizing, how to declutter, what spaces to work on, conversations to have with people in your life who aren't super supportive of your journey, but you want them to be involved, etc. So I've that's kind of something I'm working on in 2025, which I
I
hope to
love
have
that.
out by summer.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Like little things like that can make it really helpful because I love a list, the dopamine hit. I'm really curious too about well, two things. So, are there situations where like someone has a decluttering situation where they're like, I want nothing to do with this, like
Mhm.
please you do it? Or is it typically like for me, I'm thinking about the tool
Mhm.
room because I'm just like, I don't know, like tools. I mean, I have an idea, but it's
Yeah.
just like one of those things that I'm like, I don't want to do this.
There are those moments, I think, because I don't have a knowledge base of so many things. I'm actually learning from my clients that I know very little about very little. And I
Mm,
didn't know that. People have hobbies and interests that they do that are so cool that I've never heard of. And by organizing these spaces, I get to learn about all these things that I've never been interested in. But now I'm like, that's so cool. Um, so because I don't have all these knowledge bases, I always say to people, at the very least, I need you there for the decluttering process. So you tell me what stays and what goes. And then from there, I can create an organizing system if they don't want to be part of it. Most people want to be part of it, but I'm happy to do it for them once I know what's staying. Like, I won't even throw away a paper clip. Not that I'm going to throw away a paper clip, but you know what I mean? I won't throw away
yeah,
anything without someone saying, like, okay, this can go. um,
right.
every
This is the
decision
garbage
is theirs.
pile. Yeah,
Exactly. And so
yeah.
I could create a system from there, but it's kind of more fun when you get to do it like as well. Like it's your space. Part of that sometimes feels like reclaiming your space when you get to make decisions about where everything lives. But some folks
Sure.
are really busy and they don't want to do it. And, they're usually really stoked when I've organized it, then they can just maintain it. So no matter what they choose to do, it works out. It's just preference.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I don't think I answered
Yeah.
your other question though. You said, how can people get started organizing?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was thinking about that. So not everyone's going to hire a professional organizer. That's fine. Um, I would say for people to start with a really small space, something that you can finish in like 20 minutes. Just give yourself like it's a muscle. Organizing, like anything else, is a habit that is required to build over time, and it's a muscle. So 20 minutes, let's say one bookshelf, one drawer, something, declutter it, organize it. Great, it's done. Walk away. And maybe do that a couple times a week um, until you feel like you have the bandwidth to sit and do it longer. Maybe the following week you can do it for 30 minutes, and eventually you can organize a whole room and it's fine. But if you don't get to that point, that's also okay. Like
Mhm.
there's no exact spot you should be at. Just you do what you can do.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like I love that you say it's like a muscle because I definitely have I was gonna sneeze. I definitely have like a little like the decluttering bug right now. And maybe it's because like spring is around the corner. So I'm starting to
It is.
like feel into that. And like I was thinking about the other day how I opened, some people have this in their kitchen. I have one of those super skinny drawers that's like completely useless. Like,
Yep. Hmm.
I had shoved some really old, crusty, like oven mitts in there, and I have like 5 million other oven mitts. And I was like, these just need to go in the garbage. Like, they're just so gross. Like, and it was just felt good to do like one little thing, like that, where you like, it's like now it's in
Hmm.
my awareness to be looking for things to like donate or toss or whatever. And there was some like old candles in that drawer that I was just like, we can afford new candles, so I'll throw those away
Yeah.
too, whatever. So just yeah, like having like building the muscle, building the awareness of always kind of being like tidying all the time, or not all the time, but just like as a part of your way of being in life.
Yeah, I think there's a way to think about it where decluttering is not supposed to be something you're needing to do regularly. So decluttering should be, okay, I've not worked on this stuff for a while. Let's declutter. Let's get this stuff out. Organizing can be something that happens occasionally, right? You organize and you get it set. Tidying can be the thing that maintains it. So let's say
I
you
love
want
that.
to tidy. Yeah. So let's say you've decluttered, you've organized it. For example, the shelf behind me, I like how that is, right? But every once in a while, I'm going to tidy it. I'm going to change out the books I've got here. I'm going to refresh my um, uh, business cards, things like that. That would be tidying, right? So tidying should be 10 to 15 minutes max. If you are tidying longer than that, you're not tidying. You are trying to maintain a decluttered space, or excuse me, a cluttered space that needs to be decluttered. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole thing. It doesn't really matter how big your house is. Tidying should be minimal. It shouldn't take you a long time. If you can look around and you go, okay, I can straighten some pillows, put a couple dishes away, wipe the table, I'm tidied. Great. It's like a reset.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's why I say like the big jobs, the decluttering, the organizing, that's why I support people through those. And then they learn how to tidy maintenance. Um,
I love that.
yeah. And so, because that way you don't have to feel like you have to do it all the time. Because sometimes my sink is full of dishes onto the counter. Sometimes my laundry is just spilling out of the laundry basket. But then when I have time, I organize, I get my chores done, and then the next day I just have to tidy a little bit. Um, it's
Yeah.
you're always going to have to do something, but you don't always have to focus on it. And that's, I think, the key.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that little breakdown just like hit with my brain, where it's just like, okay, yeah, like declutter, organize, and tidy. It's just like it's like the chunks of
Hmm.
how you operate with your stuff. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful. So with the body doubling, so I've like heard this phrase before.
Yeah.
Obviously you do this virtually, and is this primarily like you like what I sensed when you already were describing this? So you're sitting with somebody on Zoom and you're more or less just like there to keep them on the task. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially what I do, my entire job, even in person, is body doubling. I didn't know this term. I learned it this last year, because I work with folks who, all different ways of thinking. And so some folks just need a little support getting things done. They just don't focus long enough to do it without somebody there to just say, hey, let's do this next. Um, so I do body doubling in person and virtually. And in person, it looks like keeping someone on task, going, okay, hey, let's organize this shelf next. And then kind of redirecting that person if they get distracted by other items, memories, whatnot. It's similar to teaching, it's just redirection. It's just gently nudging somebody to keep going with what they actually wanted to accomplish. Um, Virtually, it's very similar. It's just I can only see what I can see on screen. So my kind of friendly banter, I call it, my chatting with them, um, helps them keep moving forward. So I will chat about stuff that doesn't have to do with organizing, but then every once in a while I'm queuing in and going, "Hey, have you worked on XYZ yet?" And they go, "Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's right." And then we keep going
Mm.
and they finish that space. So it's just yeah, kind of just supporting someone getting stuff done. Which
Yeah,
who couldn't use that? So getting stuff done is
absolutely.
chores are boring when you're by yourself. So if you're not somebody who likes
Yeah.
to put on a podcast in your ears or turn on a show in the background, then yeah, hire a body double.
Yeah, I noticed that's made a big difference for me as well. Like, I used to feel really bitter and resentful about feeling like I was the only one cleaning, tidying, organizing, decluttering, and,
Yeah.
um, I feel like we've got like, for us, and I know this isn't easy for every family, but yeah, just getting my family on board to be like, "Why don't we just had, like, 1 hour Saturday morning, we just all, like, clean this up, we'll do what we can, and whatever doesn't get done, that's okay, we did our best, and then that's that." But it becomes this
Yeah.
fun thing where we, like, put on music and we're just like, "I got this, and I'm doing this." I don't know,
I
it just,
love
like,
that.
feels more fun, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember doing that with my friends when I was little, like, I was actually the kid that liked cleaning when I was now I hate it, but
Ah.
I think I'm re-falling in love with it, but yeah. Um, yeah, I remember just, like, loving cleaning with my friends, like, I'd go to their house and be like,
Mhm.
"I'll clean your room for you," or whatever, and we'd do it together.
That's
So,
actually a really good reminder. I love that you said that because if you don't have the ability to hire somebody to body double for you, have your friend come over, even if they're not helping you clean, or your sibling or your parent or whoever can be there. Either
mhm,
share part of the responsibility or just have them chat with you while you get it done. And I think that's so valuable. That's why some people get on the phone when they clean, because they need a
mhm,
distraction to keep the momentum going, which helps. So
mhm.
call somebody, get them on your phone, or whatever. It really makes a difference. Um,
Yeah,
and some people need help with the actual task completion, and some people just need the motivation of another person just in their ear. Um, Either way, I mean, it always feels better to do things with others than alone. So I think that's a
yeah,
nice reminder.
yeah, yeah. I love that. Well, so what would be like your final message that you would want to give to people as they like start to think and get inspired to do some decluttering, organizing, and tidying? Um, what do you feel like is important for people to keep in mind as they move forward?
I actually wrote something. I'm not going to say it as
Please.
well if I don't read it. So I'm just going to read it. I typed it up. Um,
Yeah.
okay, let's see. There was let's see. We talked about, because you mentioned in your email to me health, wealth, and love, and I loved that. So I kind of was thinking
Mm,
on that and
that's
writing a little
cool.
bit. Yeah. So I said, it is so beautiful that I get to support people's journey back to themselves simply by facilitating the process for them to release anything that isn't serving them. It starts with letting items go, but then it transforms into allowing them to release old ideas, stagnant thoughts, and unkind self talk. When you take care of your surroundings, you begin to remember to take better care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Decluttering and organizing your life is an amazing form of self love and self care, and everyone should take part in that.
That is such a beautiful message. Thank you so much. Oh, that
You're
gave me
welcome.
chills. I love that. I feel it so much right now. I've definitely um been focused on this, like I said. Thanks, Martha Stewart. Being like, oh, I need to make a beautiful space, and to you and all the other people out there that focus around this work, it is really important. I think it is a really chaotic world that we live in right now, and if you can just make peace in your home, I think it could really benefit all of us. So,
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, thank you for having me on and allowing me to
yeah.
chat about it. I'm so passionate about people just feeling better in their space because just it feels good to breathe. That's why my business is Declutter, Organize, Breathe, because that's how I feel. I just take a big deep
Mm,
breath and feels like at least momentarily, everything is okay.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so the last question I want to ask you that I ask
Sure.
everyone is what is your favorite go-to self-care, self-love practice besides decluttering
Mm.
and organizing?
Yeah, I definitely at like 10 o'clock at night will just have a spurt of energy and organize something because it it's so calming to me. I know that sounds, you know, a lot of people don't do
Yeah.
that, but
Hmm.
um it would be walking in nature. Um just getting out, fresh air, seeing things that are not related to anything else other than just the earth. That is one of my favorite things, just getting outside, fresh air, feeling the wind, the sun, whatever it is. And usually taking my dog because watching him just immerse himself in nature and I just get to breathe and exist. And sometimes that is exactly what you need, just to breathe and exist and not have to think about anything else. So for me, that's a big self-care tool.
Yeah, same. I have to walk my dog every morning, so I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, Kaleigh, thank you so much for giving us your time and your beautiful knowledge. And where can people reach out to you? What's the best way for people to get in touch to work with you and just kind of be in your world and stalk you a little bit or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. My website, you can just Google declutter, organize, breathe. And that is my business. You can find my social media through Googling that. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have a Pinterest account. I don't use it very often, but I'm trying to do it more. But I would say predominantly reach out to me on my website. There's a form that you can complete if you're interested in service. Um, there's all kinds of information about me. I will link this podcast, and I have other stuff I've done linked there with events. Um, my email is on my website, and my website name, I created the website before I had a business name. So it's just my name. It's KaleighHopeTuso.com. Um, but I just tell people Google declutter, organize, breathe locally, and I come up. You'll see my business. And please call me, please email. I'll text back. I'm really easy to get a hold of. And I'd love to chat about anything organizing wise or anything adjacent to it. So yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. We will put all of those links too in the show notes to make it easy for people. And thank you again. We will catch everyone in the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you found this episode to be helpful, be sure to share it with a friend who might benefit. And consider leaving a review so that even more people can find this podcast. Be sure to come find me over on Instagram and tag me, letting me know what your favorite takeaways were. My handle is Heather Murphy _ that's me. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. It really is an honor to be here with you on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with the episodes, and we'll catch you in